Well, good morning. Marie and I are concocting a new scheme called The Story of Us, which would be a weekly video where the two of us will talk about our lives together, how we put them together, and how we work things out. Normally, both of us will be in the picture, sometimes one, sometimes the other, but it's easier really this time because we're having a conversation. I think it's just perfect, where Marie is talking about independence and living together, and you're feeling what you can tell it better.
So we're just sitting at we're finishing up breakfast, and we were just talking about living in a smaller space together. And at the end of my last marriage, we had been living in what you would probably now call a tiny house. It was very, very small. I said our relationship had shrunk down to this very small place where we owned very little. And not only that, but we had become we didn't own anything individually. It's as if we had become just this one kind of being. And then I was saying that one time I was at Mary Kellogg's house, our friend who is the poet, and she had a shelf in her kitchen. She lived by herself. She was in her 80s, and it had her things on it: chamomile tea, honey, whatever, a bunch of different things. And I looked at it at the time, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is all hers. It's like a portrait of her. It's everything that she uses every day. Nobody else touches it. It's just who she is, and it felt profound to me. And I realize now that it was because I had lost my identity. It's like one of those trees down in the Everglades that another tree will land on it, this parasite tree, and just grow over it and take over it. And one thing that John and I have done is made sure not to do that, right? And it really comes through in our creativity. So if I write something, John never says to me, "That's awful," or "You shouldn't write it this way. You should write it that way."
I want to live too. I don't want to be killed.
but and I would never say to you, "Oh, that photograph really sucks. You're not an artist. You don't have an artist mind or an artist eye." We can criticize each other constructively. We can do it in a nice way. We can give our opinion, but I would never expect you, John, to change what you're doing just because I said it, or I would never want to like have that kind of influence especially over your art.
Well, there are a lot of lessons, I think, here in the way we're handling this, because I have an office and you have a studio, and you rarely come into my office unless it's just to interrupt me for some reason. And I never come into your studio unless invited or unless I ask. And I don't want to come in there. I don't want to be enmeshed in your stuff, and you don't want to be enmeshed in mine. So our work is very independent of each other. And we will say, we'll read each other's work, and I always want to see what you're doing, and you always want to see what I've written. But it's not like an editor, or it's not like you're trying to tell me what to write, or I'm trying to tell you what to make, which would be suicide to begin with. So I think that was an idea we had from the very beginning.
Well, it's encouraging. So if you have something to say, it's to encourage to do it differently or better, or just your idea. And if the other person doesn't do it, it's like the other day you wrote a piece, and I thought that I had something to say about it, and I said, but it's up to you. You have to do what you want to do. Excuse me?
I think I'm not used to saying it because it so rarely happens. But it was very helpful. But at the same time, I it was already done and it was already written, and I don't feel like I have to consult you on everything, or vice versa.
No, absolutely.
And also, I think it's very healthy because it keeps us from getting into those irritating relationship things where you're just sick of the other person, because we live in the same house.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time
annoying
together, and it could be. So it's really important for us.
But when you go to the studio, you're in your own world.
Yeah, and you are in yours. I only interrupt you.
And we both love going into our little spaces and working.
Yeah.
It's private and it's nice and it's very creative. I think a good marriage is a creative thing, and I've always felt like you have to have a creative founding for it. Okay, so what do you need? That's what I'm always saying. What do you need? You need your space. You need to do your art. So I need to respect that and not pressure you or get annoyed or whatever, and vice versa.
Right, right. And you've always done that. I have to say, always from the beginning, you were always like, no, go to your studio. And especially in the beginning of our relationship, I'd be like, oh, well, I need to like wash the kitchen floor or what, something stupid like that. And not that it's stupid to wash the kitchen floor, but
I don't remember that.
Not when you're supposed. Well, I remember I was cleaning
That was in the
something
glory
out.
days.
I was cleaning out a cabinet or something, and you're like, no, go to work. You don't need to,
Well,
you
you're
don't need
also
to
the
do that
person
now.
person who wants to get right to work, and also you're easily distractible because you're like a chore freak. But I remember telling you the one writing course I ever took was with John Updike, and he said you have to, your creative time is sacred. You have to. What's your creative time? My creative time is like 8 in the morning till 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and I have to pretend. I get angry when somebody interrupts that or tries to talk to me, and I think you're the same way.
I've definitely learned to do that, but you've helped me learn to do that. You say you have to put this chunk of time aside, and I think also because when you do that, like you said, it becomes this sacred space for your creativity. And if you don't do that, then you're saying my creativity isn't important.
Right, you're respecting the wishes
Right.
of the other person to live their life.
Oh, and
So
that
it's
too,
very
definitely.
important. It's
Yeah.
not a minor thing. And if you were saying to me every day, "Oh, what are you going to write for? I mean, let's go do this or let's go do that," take the day off.
What are you taking another picture?
But- which has happened to be in my life. You're disrespecting that person,
Right.
and I think that's very hard often for men to do, because I think they get jealous. They get nervous when their wives have an independent life. I've noticed that.
Well, and when you see creative couples, especially from the past, very often the men are squelching the women's
Right.
creativity.
Say, no, you shouldn't be doing that. Make some money, whatever.
Right.
So anyway, we were having this. This is a great conversation. I thought.
I know, we're just talking about it. John's like, wait a minute, let me get on my
We can have
camera
a-
and we'll
So
make
we're
a
going
video.
to call this. What did we decide we're going to call it?
This is
The
us.
story of us. This is us.
This is us.
The story of us.
Or This Is Us.
Oh, this is
We'll
us.
get- we'll
It's
get
like-
back to you
We have
about
to
that
talk.
one.
Yeah, we have to talk. I can see we haven't quite resolved that. And we hope to do it like on every Friday. And it would be just issues like this, including the farm and the work we're doing, certainly the animals.
And from now on, we're not going to just have it focused on me because, like, I'm not that interesting to look at for however.
Well, you're a
long
lot
this
more
is.
interesting to look at than I am,
6 or
so I
7
think this would be
minutes.
great.
Well, we'll see.
And I can, okay, if you want to we'll do this. Finish up in this way.
There we go. Oh, there's John. It's about time we got to see
That's
you. A
one
little
way one of us
interview.
could talk, and we could stick the phone back and forth.
Yeah, we'll have to do something like that. We'll figure it out. We'll make it so it's a little smoother.
So anyway, so stay tuned. I think this is really going to work. See, happens all the time. So it's really a natural thing for us to do.
Well, what were we doing? What was it? I don't
always
even remember how
ruminating
this.
about, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. And you're like, okay, let's do it on Friday. And then we wake up this morning and you're like, let's do it today.
No, we didn't do that. I did that.
That's what I said. You're like, let's do it today.
Okay, sweetie. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
Look for us maybe on Friday. This is going to kick it off. I'm going to put this up today, and then we'll work it out towards the end of the week. We have lots to say, and we're happy to say it. Goodbye.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
Bye.